group asking Bishop Kukah to leave Sokoto. NECO to reschedule examinations for candidates who missed paper due to NSAS protest. Bonny Island residents storm Rivers Government House in protest over pirates' attacks. On business, CBN says foreign reserves adequate for 7-month imports. And in sports, Aston Villa versus Everton game postponed due to COVID outbreak. Details of these and more after this break. I am Godslove. Orlando. And now the news. The presidency has faulted a group, the Muslim Solidarity Forum, over a threat it issued to Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Matthew Hassan Kukah, to tender an apology over a recent comment credited to him or leave the state. In a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the President, Garba Shehu, the presidency described the situation as an assault on the cleric's freedom. The president also declared that Bishop Kukah must be allowed to practice his faith and politics, describing the stance by the Muslim Solidarity Forum as wrong and not in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bishop Kukah, in his Christmas message, had lamented the state of the polity, condemning the president's leadership style and ascribing the prevailing national condition to his decisions. A comment the Muslim Solidarity Forum says was an insult to the entire Muslim Ummah and malicious comments against Islam. While admitting that Bishop Kukah offended many with his controversial remarks against the government and the person of the president, the presidency called for restraint, warning that groups or factions such as Muslim Solidarity Forum must not give quick notices, neither should they unilaterally sanction any perceived breaches. The Permanent Secretary in Edo State Ministry of Communication and Orientation, Joseph Sede, has commended KU 92.7 FM for its quality programming and news reportage. Sede gave the commendation on Thursday when he paid an advocacy courtesy visit to the management of the station alongside some directors in the ministry.
Thank the KU FM for its cooperation with the government, how they have helped to disseminate information about the government. They've been doing very well. Going to appreciate them and to solicit that continue and further strengthen this relationship. We also have purpose of our visit to familiarize with this establishment and to discuss modalities of further strengthening our relationship, giving them seamless information for onward transmission to the people of Edo.
He said the state governor, Godwin Obaseki, has achieved a lot in his first term in office, but reassures residents that the governor will do more in his second tenure.
Right now, he's focusing on civil service. But the civil service is the engine room of governance. So he's paying salary regularly. Pension is regular. No one is owed pension today in Edo State. The gratuity has been able to clear the backlog of arrears. Has been able to clear from 1992 to 2014. And by the time he's chalking off his second term in office, he would have completed everything and nobody will be owed gratuity anymore. But right now, nobody is owed pension. As you are going, you are getting your pension. There are no two ways about it. So the era where pensioners go run from table to table, bribing, looking for money and crying, and in the process, you are a staff of Edo State government and you are retiring this month of January. By 25th, 26th, you get a lot.
The permanent secretary and his team were received by the station's manager of KUFM 92.7, Saliu Ibrahim. A tricycle rider has been sentenced by a magistrate court to 3 months imprisonment for attacking patrol operatives of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Benin, Edo State. The tricycle rider, Adeshino Adeyemo, was sentenced on Monday, January 11, 2021 for the offense he committed on July 16, 2020. Adeyemo had stripped himself naked, attacked the operatives and inflicted damages on their patrol vehicle along Sapele Benin Road. He was arraigned before Senior Magistrate F. Ujehume of the Ewori Area Magistrate Court B on a 2-count charge bordering on conducting himself in a manner likely to cause a breach of public peace and for maliciously damaging FRSC patrol vehicle during patrol operations. The defendant was found guilty as charged, but in line with the 2019 sentencing guidelines, the magistrate noted that he was entitled to allocutus. As such, the sentence was mitigated. Adeyemo was asked by the court to pay the sum of 5,000 naira or face 1 month imprisonment for the first count charge against him. For the second count charge, the tricycle rider was asked to pay 41,000 naira or face 2 months imprisonment. Elsewhere, the federal government on Thursday disclosed plans to commission a database center towards mainstreaming of geospatial information acquisition and use in the country. The center, apart from boosting internally generated revenue, would also help in strengthening national security. The Surveyor General of the Federation, Surveyor Samuel Taiwo, who disclosed this during the management meeting in Abuja, said the project was started in 2012, adding that the Geo and e-commerce portal of Surveyor General of the Federation will be launched through the database. As part of its support to encourage geospatial education in the country, according to Taiwo, Surveyor General of the Federation will be donating some surveying and mapping equipment to universities and polytechnics offering related courses. Coming up in a moment after the break, NECO to reschedule examinations for candidates who missed papers due to NSAS protest. Details in a moment.
At split seconds, there is a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break from Nigeria and across the world. We would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. It's still News Dawn, and now to the rest of the news, where the Minister of State for Power, Godi Jediagba, said the power sector requires $4 billion annually to universally access clean and renewable energy for a sustained power supply to consumers in the country. The minister was speaking at a virtual Global Power Sector Players Conference presided over by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. While urging global partners to support ESP introduced by the federal government, the minister stressed that Nigeria is taking steps to merge its energy access and energy transition conversations, as the largest unelectrified population globally resides within the borders. He called for access to the unelectrified 85 million people using renewable sources to maintain Nigeria and Africa's low contribution to carbon emission. And to the educational sector, where arrangements are ongoing for over 233,000 candidates who missed out on the National Examination Council NECO papers due to the NSAS protest last year. They are to sit for the affected papers next month. The Registrar and Chief Executive of the National Examinations Council, Professor Godswill Obioma, said this in Minna, Niger State. The NSAS protest forced the council management to reschedule the papers during the period. The affected candidates were in Oyo, Ekiti, Ondo, Osun and Lagos. Others are Edo, Rivers, Abia, Enugu and the Federal Capital Territory. Professor Obioma stressed that the council is not relenting in its efforts to curb examination malpractice, as more than 33,000 cases were recorded during the last internal examinations. Meanwhile, school owners under the auspices of the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPS, have called on the government to keep schools open, saying the consequences of shutting them down are more grievous than the effects of the coronavirus pandemic the government is trying to combat. The association also said during the closure of schools last year, no fewer than 30% of its members went bankrupt, with some putting up their schools for sale. Speaking during a meeting with stakeholders and journalists on Thursday, the national president of NAPS, Otumba Yomi Otobola, noted that the palliatives promised by the government last year under the survival fund barely scratched the surface. Otobola said there should be a balance between being alive and sustaining people's sources of livelihood. And now we go to Rivers State, where residents of Bonny local government area in the state on Thursday carried out a fresh protest at the State Government House and the State House of Assembly in Port Harcourt. The protesters are calling for an immediate end to the attacks and killing on the Bonny Island waterway by pirates. The protesters, mainly the youth, marched from UTC Junction on Azikiwe Road to Government House, Port Harcourt, to register their grievances and to the Rivers State House of Assembly, where the member representing Bonny constituency addressed them. Part of their demands is for the government to set up security checkpoints on the Bonny High Sea and empower security agencies to tackle violent crime. Some residents had earlier on Monday staged a protest on the island over the insecurity, which they say has claimed many lives. The protesters told newsmen that the most recent of the attacks was on January 5th, 2021, when two indigents drowned in the river after pirates attacked their boats. They added that the pirate after the attack made away with valuables from the passengers and asked them to jump into the high sea. And still in Rivers State, following the outbreak of cholera in two local government areas, in Benue State, following the outbreak of cholera in two local government areas of the state, the government has directed people living in the riverbank to stop using contaminated water. No fewer than 14 people were reported to have died of cholera in Guma and Agatu local government area of the state. The State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Joseph Mbe, gave the advice to residents living at Riverbank. The commissioner said that the state government had taken steps to contain the spread of the disease with the deployment of drugs and medical personnel to the affected areas to provide treatment for victims. The commissioner added that the state governor, Samuel Autumn, had directed the Benue State University Teaching Hospital to provide additional 10-bed spaces to take care of those infected. Coming up in a moment in our business news, CBN says foreign reserves adequate for 7-month import. Details of this and more after this break. Please stay with us.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has indicated that the country's foreign exchange reserves at current level of about 35 billion naira would cover 7-month import needs of the economy. This is contained in the Apex Bank's 2020 Economy Review and 2021 Outlook it just released. In the review and outlook, the bank explained that with the decline in the nation's foreign exchange earnings and successive exchange rate adjustment, it was forced to implement a demand management framework which is designed to bolster the production of items that can be produced in Nigeria and aid conservation of external reserves. And finally, on business, the Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, in Rivers State has generated 85 million naira to the federal government through service charges in 2020. This was just as the organization also vowed that it will beam its searchlight on the petroleum industry, adding that it will ensure that global standards are obeyed in the sector. These were disclosed when the Director General and Chief Executive of SON, Farouk Salim, visited the Rivers Bayelsa State Office in Port Harcourt and Port and Border Operations, ONE, respectively. The state coordinator of SON, Samuel Ayuba, who is in charge of the two states, disclosed that despite the challenge posed on their operations by the dreaded COVID-19, the body was able to generate the money. And that's it on business. And now in sports, where Aston Villa versus Everton game postponed due to COVID-19 outbreak. Details on our sport bulletin this morning. And now talking sport, where Aston Villa's Premier League game at home to Everton on Sunday has been postponed because of the ongoing COVID-19 issues at the club. The Villa training ground remains closed after a coronavirus outbreak. A Premier League statement said a significant number of Villa players and staff remained in isolation. Villa, who already have 3 games in hand on some clubs in the league, are due to play Manchester City on Wednesday. That game was originally scheduled to take place on the opening weekend of the season, but was postponed because of City's progress in last season's Champions League. One of the matches they have in hand, the game at home to Newcastle, which was postponed from December 4th after the Magpies' own coronavirus outbreak, has been rescheduled for Saturday, January 23rd. Villa's COVID-19 outbreak meant that no first-team players were available for the FA Cup third-round tie against Liverpool last Friday. Finally, on sport news, Arsenal's recent resurgence was checked by a stubborn Crystal Palace, who claimed the hard-fought point from a forgettable encounter at Emirates Stadium. Tagged as relegation candidate as little as 3 weeks ago, the Gunners came into the game off the back of 4 straight wins in all competitions, but were unable to find their way past the disciplined visitors. Their only other clear-cut chance was an angled shot from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang that Vicente Guaita palmed away. There was more goal-mouth action at the other end, with James heading an Eberechieze free kick against the bar and Christian Benteke drawing a fine save from Bernard Leno with a nodded effort on his own. The points leaves Arsenal 11th on 24 points and Palace 2 points and a league place worse off but comfortably clear of any relegation's worries. And that's it on Sport News. And that's the news, but before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. On the news this morning, we told you that the presidency has faulted group asking Bishop Kuka to leave Sokoto. And in the educational sector, NECO is to reschedule examinations for candidates who missed papers during the NSAS protest. And finally, on News Done this morning, Bonny Island residents storm River State Government House in protest over pirates' attack. Please do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our KU mobile app from the Google Play Store. Remember, we are live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on radioguardian.com. KUFM's News Dawn was produced by Blessing Asekome. I am God's Love, Orlando, saying thanks for listening and good morning.
We're back. And this is how we put it down. You know what I'm talking about. Turn up the volume.
92.7. Turn us up. 92.7. Dr. Dollar Entertainment.
Wanna make love on the moon, dancing to my tunes. Easy too much, it's not too much. I wanna be on Forbes, if wishes were horses. Easy too much, it's not too much. If I want money, I do want dance, I got to say. If I want money, I'ma buy my shoulder, I'ma buy my foya, I'ma buy me. Yeah, yeah. I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire, yeah, yeah. I wanna be a billionaire, billionaire, yeah, yeah. Yala, yeah, anybody, anybody. up in a Lamborghini. I want to fly for Santorini, like Bonito Sicily. Oh,